Hi boys and girls, and welcome to the Coop for today's math lesson, which is practicing two-digit subtraction. But before we start with our practice, I need to remind you of something. So remember this poem, the subtraction poem we were using in class whenever we subtracted multi-digit numbers? It is the key to unlocking subtraction. If you remember this, you'll be able to subtract any number that comes your way. So, first thing we're going to do when we subtract is we are going to look at the two numbers that we are going to be working with. And in math, we only start on the right. It's the opposite of reading. And so when I look, I see an 8 and a 6. Is there more on the top or more on the floor? That's right, there's more on the top. So we say more on the top, no need to stop. And we can just subtract. So 8 minus 6 equals 2. Now we're going to look next door at the tens. More on the top or more on the floor? You're right, more on the top, no need to stop. 5 minus 2 equals 3. Now that's the kind of math that you did in first grade, and that was really easy, but you're in second grade and you're learning so much more. So now we're going to go to this kind when there's more on the floor. We can't just subtract from the bottom and go up, or else we would get a totally wrong answer. So let's look at this. Again, when we come to a multi-digit subtraction problem, we're going to start all the way on the right-hand side. And we're going to look at those numbers and ask ourselves, is there more on the top or more on the floor? You're right, there's more on the floor because 6 is bigger than 3. So this is the poem we say to ourselves. More on the floor, go next door and get 10 more. And you know me, I love to act it out. So I go next door and I knock on the door and I say, hello, 5. May I have one, please? And 5 is a nice fellow, so he says, sure. And when you cross out the 5 to take one away, it becomes a 4. He gives that 1 to the 3, which makes the 3 a big old 13. Now I can do my subtraction. 13 minus 6 equals 7. And now when I look at the tens, I'm going to say that subtraction poem again. More on the top or more on the floor? You're right, 4 is bigger than 2, so more on the top. No need to stop. 4 minus 2 equals 2. So 53 minus 26 is 27. Okay, and now there's some times when there's not more on the top or more on the floor. It's the same exact number. And so what I will do in that case is say this poem. Numbers the same, zeros the game. 3 minus 3 equals 0. And then I come to the tens and I look and see more on the top, no need to stop. 5 minus 2 equals 3. So if you can remember this poem to help you every time you are subtracting, then you'll be all set to go. So let's go and practice some. Okay, so now it's time to practice. Do you have a pencil and paper ready to do this with me, or are you just watching this first time? Okay, I'll let you watch a little bit, and then I'm going to ask you to do it as well, okay? So, our first problem that we're going to have is 72 minus 38. And so, whenever I'm going to do a multi-digit subtraction problem, I know I'm always going to start on the right-hand side. It's the opposite of reading. On reading we start on the left, but on math we start on the right. And so I'm going to just look at the ones column. And when I look at the ones column, I'm going to ask myself, is there more on the top or more on the floor? What do you think? You're right, there's more on the floor. So I remember my poem. More on the floor, go next door and get 10 more. So I come over here and I cross out the 7, and when I take 1 away from the 7, it becomes a, 6. And now that 6 gave 1 away to the 2, and it makes it a big old 12. So now I'm ready to subtract. 12 minus 8 equals 4. You're right. And now I don't have 7 here anymore. I have 6. So I have to do 6 minus 3. Oh, that's a double fact. 6 minus 3 equals 3. Right. I know that because 3 plus 3 equals 6. So 6 minus 3 equals 3. Very good. Okay. Let's try another one. This one is 62 minus 33. 62 minus 33. I am making sure that I line up my ones under my ones and my tens under my tens so that I'm ready to get the right answer and I don't get all mixed up. So, in math, I'm going to start on the right-hand side. It's the opposite of reading. And I'm going to start in my ones column. And when I look at it, I compare the numbers and I ask myself, is there more on the top or more on the floor? You're right, there is more on the floor. So I say my poem, more on the floor, go next door and get 10 more. I cross out the 6 and it becomes a 5. He gives the 1 to the 2 and makes it a big old 12. So now I'm ready to subtract. 12 minus 3. So 12, 11, 10, 9. Okay, 12 minus 3 equals 9. And then I have 5 minus 3. And if you forget, you can use those touch dots. 5, 4, 3, 2. So the answer to 62 minus 33 equals 29. Okay, we're doing good with this so far. So let's try another one. Now I'm going to try 81 minus 23. I make sure I line up my ones under my ones and my tens under my tens, and then I'm all set to start. I remember it's math, so I will start on the right. And I'm going to look at these two numbers in the ones, and I'm going to ask myself, is there more on the top or more on the floor? Once again, we have more on the floor, so we go next door and get 10 more. The 8 becomes a 7, and he gives 1 to the 1, and it makes it a big old 11. 11 minus 3. If you forget that fact, you could just use touch points on the 3. So 11, 10, 9, 8. The answer is 8. And then I have 7 minus 2. Again, I could use touch points. 7, 6, 5. So the answer to 81 minus 23 is 58. Now, I don't want you to think that every single time you go next door, because that's not the case. It's only when there's more on the floor. So let's just do one to remember that we're not going to do that every single time. So I am going to write 37 minus 24. And you remember, when we do our math and it's multi-digits, we're going to start on the right. And so we look at the ones and we ask ourselves, is there more on the top or more on the floor? And in this one, there's more on the top, so no need to stop. 7 minus 4 equals 3. And then in the tens, more on the top or more on the floor? More on the top, no need to stop. 3 minus 2 equals 1. Of course, because 3 and 2 are neighbors on the number line. And whenever we have neighbors on the number line and we're subtracting, the answer has got to be 1 because they're next door neighbors. They're only 1 away from each other. Okay, I'm going to do like 2 more. And one of them, I want to do the third part of our poem. So I am going to write the number 74 minus 34. And when I have a multi-digit subtraction problem, I know that I'm going to start on the right and I'm going to compare those numbers. And when I look, is there more on the top? Is there more on the floor? Actually, it's neither one of those because numbers are the same. And so I say the poem to myself, numbers the same, zero's the game. And then I go next door. Is more on top or more on the floor? There's more on the top, no need to stop. 7 minus 3 equals 4. Okay, and we're going to do one more. We're going to do, oh, this is a good one. With this one, a lot of people get confused. So I don't want you to mess up when you see a 0 here, okay? So we're going to practice it. 70 minus 52. Now, I remember when you were in first grade and when you started second grade, when you would see a problem like this and you'd see a 0 there, you'd say, oh, that's easy. The answer is 2. But that was before you knew about regrouping. And now that we know about regrouping, we know when we see a problem that's multi-digits, we have to start on the right and we have to compare the numbers, and we see that there's more on the floor. And when there's more on the floor, we need to go next door. So let's do that. More on the floor, go next door and get 10 more. We cross out the 7. When you take 1 away from the 7, it becomes a 6. It gives 1 to the 0 and makes it a big old 10. And now we have 10 minus 2. So 10, 9, 8. The answer is 8 there. And our new digit over here is 6. So 6, take away 5, they're neighbors on the number line. So whenever it's neighbors on the number line and we're subtracting, the answer has to be 1 because they're just 1 away from each other. So 70 minus 52 equals 18. Okay, so that was our practice for today. I would like you to practice some of this today too. I am going to give you an assignment, and in every one of them, I'm going to just give you a hint. In every one of them, you do need to go next door and get 10 more. So what I need you to do is go into our Google Classroom, go on the link for math on Tuesday, which will send you to iknowit.com. And when you go into iknowit.com, you're going to do the assignment that has you subtracting 2-digit numbers with regrouping, okay? If you have any questions at all, just give me a call or email me. Somehow give me a message, and we can meet individually through Google Meets so I can help you, okay? Good luck. I know you've got this. You're a rock star in math. Bye.